Today is Friday, September the 14th, 2018, coming out a day early this week. Hello and welcome. Astrology notes for the week of September 16th through the 23rd, 2018. Highlights for this week. We've got another week with lots of Mercury aspects. But the real important aspect this week, I think, is the Mars square Uranus. And that'll be happening on Tuesday, the 18th. And once again, it happens, it's going to be the third pass in the last 4 months, something we've been feeling a lot, and we've seen this aspect synchronize with so many revelations regarding the deep state. And last week, we had Venus opposition Uranus, which I still have more to talk about this week, as it produced the major revelation I was hoping for. The 20 FISA documents, and I'm going to leave some links that I encourage you to follow. Revelations about these documents came to light, and now they will soon be released. It's a growing story, and I will leave links, but basically it turns the Russian collusion story upside down. After all, it wasn't Russia, but actually Obama and Hillary who infiltrated the Trump campaign and committed treason in the process. At the end of the video, I'm going to go over Hillary's transits, coincidental with the Venus opposition Uranus of last week, and upcoming transits for the rest of this month. Basically, I believe her time is running out, and even less time for Rod Rosenstein, whose transits I'll also go over at the end of the video, and he will likely get fired as soon as the FISA documents are released. And that's going to be really interesting to watch that all come down. So I'll leave the daily summary for the description, and let's just get started with Sunday the 19th. Starting early in the morning, we've got the first planetary aspect, Mercury sextile Jupiter, and this will be 19 degrees of Virgo to 19 degrees of Scorpio. And this aspect brings forth your native Mercury talents, whatever those are. And that would be your communication skills, skills with your hands, ability to solve problems, mental skills. And basically Jupiter comes in and makes them seem bigger and better, shine brighter than usual. A desire to express yourself verbally or in writing, better at drawing and design, more thinking, able to connect the dots and see the big picture. Also more optimistic, looking to learn about new things, grow and expand your awareness, interest in philosophy, and show the world what you can do with your Mercury talents. Another great aspect for making convincing speeches. And then also in the morning, on Sunday, we've got Moon square Mercury. With this one, emotions interfere with normal communication processes. Not sure if you should expand just Sagittarius or analyze the situation, which is Virgo. And then we've got the first quarter moon in the afternoon on Sunday. And again, it's Sagittarius to Virgo. A crisis for fulfillment that always comes with the first quarter moon as we're trying to establish the foundation for this month's growth. We need to overcome worry and hesitation, and that's the Virgo, and the constant need to analyze and perfect something before moving forward. You know, sometimes Virgo overdoes it too much on the square to Sagittarius, because of course Sagittarius produces a lot of activity. So it's too much perfecting, too much analyzing. And that's the crisis on that one. Okay, moving along to Monday, the 17th, we've got Moon enters Capricorn early in the morning, and that will be after a void of course that starts with the first quarter moon in the afternoon on Sunday. And so we're more concerned with long-term survival needs for the next couple of days. Helps to stay in the present moment and focus on duty and responsibility. Got a lot going on for the moon in Capricorn these days. The trine to Uranus is really nice, and this will be happening in the morning, and it will be very close to the moon conjunct Saturn as well. So here we see the moon getting caught up in the Saturn trine Uranus aspect. So with the trine to Uranus, it makes us ambitious, and I would say a good start for the work week, just like last week. We're interested in new trends and ideas. And when you mix that in with the moon conjunct Saturn, which is quite the opposite, we're more time for emotions or contract, we're shy, kind of cautious, not ambitious, and trying really hard to get things in order and put everything in place, very structured and kind of inflexible. But it's also a time for therapy and meditation and seeking the advice of a trusted friend. And when you add these two together with the trine to Uranus, I think that element of it comes out even better. So it's a good time to seek advice from others, and that's on Monday morning. Okay, moving along to Tuesday. We start in the morning with the moon sextile Neptune. This one makes us dreamy and sensitive and caring towards the others who truly deserve it, because Capricorn, is very practical. And of course, this sextile from Capricorn to Pisces is one that is very philanthropic, desire to help the needy. And in the afternoon on Tuesday, the big aspect for this week, Mars square Uranus. Now this is the third pass. The first pass was May the 16th. The second pass, when Mars was retrograde, was August the 1st. And now we're at the third and last pass. So it's been ongoing for about the last 4 months now. And it's had a lot of results. It's been a very productive aspect, I must say. As far as what we feel on Tuesday, on a personal level, we're a bit restless, agitated, ambitious, and reckless. Mars can be rather impatient, and Uranus wants change. So impatient for change, and that equals recklessness. The pace of activities increases. We're more assertive and very self-willed, not willing to let others tell you what to do, where to go, and be somewhat defiant. As well as contradictory, in that folks may seem to contradict their previous statements or behavior, especially since it's Uranus squaring Aquarius. So that's where you get that cross-circuiting, so to speak. And it brings out of the ordinary behavior, surprising behavior, or startling behavior. If you can contain the headstrong will, then the energy enables you to break out of a stagnant situation, one that's been festering for a while, but you just can't seem to break out of it. Uranus comes along and helps you make that change when you couldn't do it for yourself. It changes the landscape around you, enables you to see what you've been missing, options that you overlooked in the past, and as you become more aware of other options, you get ambitious, and Mars energy pushes you to act right away and make the change that you just became aware of. And that's why it can lead to impulsive behavior. So when you see that awareness, understand that change does not need to happen right away. It's just the awareness that is instigated, and that can be good enough sometimes. And that's why you may need to slow down, get a little perspective on the issue, and realize that impulsive behavior comes from the immediacy of realization, and it's usually not the best energy to solve the problem. Like all Uranus squares, they tend to show us things that we've been missing in life, and it compels us to restructure ourselves in some way. This is the general idea nowadays with Uranus and Taurus. So we're going to be getting a lot of these types of aspects. Uranus squaring a planet in Aquarius. And that is somewhat like Uranus square Uranus, because Uranus rules Aquarius. And because it's the first square, Uranus and Taurus, that is much like the transit that everyone gets in their mid-20s, a time when you put aside certain Uranian aspects of your life, the youthful rebelliousness, and you get more structured, a family, a job, career, etc. And this general restructuring will occur, this type of behavior. It's going to occur at all of the Uranus and Taurus aspects squaring Aquarius. going to affect our friendships and associations, go through a time of disruption and chaos as we change our values. And this aspect has been going on for the last 4 months, and now it reaches a conclusion. So our values are changing, and whatever issue that has come to been brought forth by this aspect comes to a head today, and you may have to contend with other things going on in your life that aren't functioning well. Also with this aspect, brings mechanical breakdowns as well, because Uranus rules modern technology and computers and the internet. It could bring internet interruptions as well. Uranus is associated with electricity, so it could bring electrical problems or blackouts. And, you know, really it's been such an amazing event in geopolitics, this aspect has. Firstly, there's been a lot of internet censorship during this time, and also everything from the testimony of Peter Strzok and Lisa Page to the death of John McCain can be tied to the synchronicity with this aspect and their transits. So there's just been a lot of revelations, disruptions, sudden changes, and certain Uranian aspects of society are kind of being put aside, judged very harshly. And this translates to certain people being cast out of the group. I think this was the case with John McCain and his Uranus square moon, and soon Hillary's going to be getting, or is already getting, Uranus opposition Sun. I think it's doing the same thing to her as well. Now, I don't want to summarize all of what's going on in society with this aspect, you know, and in astrology and in general. Obviously, the politics of the time we're living in is setting the stage, and astrology is just kind of giving us the movement of the players on that stage and the issues that the characters are going to be talking about it. So as I see it, really the politics of the times, which is the fight against the deep state, that's what we're all doing now. And that's really setting the stage. And if this were not happening now, yet, you know, with the same aspects, we wouldn't be talking about this. We'd be talking about something else. But it really is not just simply the aspects here, it's the signs of the times and what we're going through. And I just felt I really needed to make that distinction, that we're living in some really amazing moments in history, especially in politics in this country. And what's going on now is not just a fight between factions of the ruling elite, although clearly that is the case. It's not just about that. It's about a fundamental shift in society and in yourself as well, a shift in values. And it's bringing up a lot of these moral crises. And a lot of these Uranus, I think, square Aquarius aspects are going to bring these sudden shifts. And at the last pass, we expect to see a culmination or resolution of whatever issues have been brought up. And at the end of this video, I'm going to be going over the transits of Hillary Clinton and how they're closely tied in with this aspect and the Venus opposition Uranus. Okay, and just to bring a little bit more volcanic activity to Tuesday, we've got Moon conjunct Pluto in the early evening. So that one brings up intense emotions. They're kept under the surface where fear of showing weakness. Right. But at the same time, we're very in tune with the undercurrents of energy around you. You know, it kind of feels like you're swimming in the energy. Moon rules Cancer, it's very watery, and Pluto is very watery, so you really feel like you're swimming. It's time for emotional generation, and we get this each month. It's the opportunity we get each month to establish a new base emotional state. You know, like if you're basically agitated or something like that, you know, some issue comes up and you can renew at this aspect once each month. As well, it brings a strong burst of energy, good for fixing things around the home. And then, very nice, later in the evening on Tuesday, the Moon sextile Jupiter brings a pleasant disposition and a positive attitude, as well as a healthy appetite. You can get a lot accomplished with this aspect because that sextile to Scorpio to Capricorn is the breakthrough, looking for success. You can really harness your energy, especially for working around the home. It can be very uplifting. Okay, moving along to Wednesday, the 19th. We start in the morning with Moon trine Mercury. Writing and communication flow smoothly, able to express your feelings, good instincts, and it's a good time for business. And then the Moon trine Sun. Very nice. It's very creative. A very creative aspect. Okay, so I wanted to put some special attention on the Moon trine Sun. And that's because the last time I noticed a very strong effect when we got this aspect. Now, the last time it was Moon in Sagittarius and Sun in Leo. So that's fire signs. It was a very creative moment. And like I said, I took special note of it. And I said, I really want to point this out next time around. So the last time it was very yang energy because of in the fire signs. It was very active, very creative. And this time it's yin energy. So we're going to be very receptive, wise, and skillful use of your energy. But I just really noticed how incredibly creative this particular aspect is, and I want to encourage people to get involved in some creative activity. Last time it happened, I got really spontaneous and started doing something really productive, something I wanted to do, and I looked at the aspects and I went, wow, this Moon trine Sun is really good, especially in the fire signs. So I just want to point that out again. And then we're going to be having a void of course on Wednesday, lasting most of the middle of the day from late morning until early evening, or I should say late afternoon, when the moon enters Aquarius. So we're more concerned with social affairs for the next couple of days, more independent and need to express the unique side of ourselves. Rather intellectual, can be friendly, but in an impersonal way. Somewhat challenging for the moon in Aquarius these days. It's going to bring some disruptions into the home and into our emotional relationships. Starting with these two aspects on Wednesday night, which are both going to make it not a good time for interacting with others. The first is Moon square Uranus. Folks are really just very independent and contradictory, interested in the unusual, not a good time for social interactions. And with both of these aspects, I'm saying avoid social media, getting caught up in the social discourse, sending emails or posting things on boards that you might later regret, because the energy there is just not quite in tune with maybe your best intentions, especially with the moon conjunct Mars as well. Brings aggressive, impulsive behavior, not mindful of the rights of others, as well as rebellious. So you want to watch out for impulsive actions. The sharp mind of Mars in Aquarius, thinks it knows it all. But notice the proximity of the south node to Mars and the moon here. The moon conjunct Mars in the early degrees of Aquarius, and the south node is at 3 degrees of Aquarius right now, starting to influence Mars in this aspect as well. And that brings kind of a Saturn-type influence. And with Mars conjunct the south node, aggressive actions come back at us, or egotistical actions or positions we've taken in the past come back at us. So insisting on old or traditional ways and habits could be a source of problems, especially since Aquarius asks us to find innovative solutions and new ways of thinking. Could be more challenging with the south node so close by. Generally speaking, like I said, not a good time for social interactions, and avoid social media if you can. Okay, moving along to Thursday, September the 20th. We start early in the morning with the moon square Venus, Aquarius to Scorpio. Those subconscious thought patterns interfere with one-to-one interactions. Kind of makes it hard to express your feelings, and generally we say it's not a good time for social interaction. They're a bit more of a challenge. But kind of the opposite is the Sun conjunct Mercury, and that will be at 28 degrees of Virgo. Now this aspect is quite common in natal charts because Mercury is so close to the Sun from our perspective. And this aspect, it happens a few times each year. We got it last month on the 8th and then also on April the 1st. It's always a good one, I think. It brings the light of the Sun into the conscious mind. We're more mentally active, talkative, intelligent, opinionated, and curious. I think a bit more childlike. Tend to be more focused on ourselves, on our own thoughts and opinions. A good day for communication, and creative energy is active and changeable. Moving one thing to the next easily without much hesitation. Able to do two things at once. Folks have a lot of bright ideas, and the inner child within us comes out to play. It's a good aspect to start new projects. And in Virgo, we're analytical, able to attend to tasks with painstaking detail. So also I would say in Virgo, relations with coworkers better than usual, and it's a good time for business. And that'll be in the evening. We're its strongest on Thursday, and probably carrying forth a little bit to Friday morning. And we'll start with the Moon square Jupiter on Friday morning. And as usual with the Moon-Jupiter combinations, emotions expand, more optimistic. With the square, overindulgent, a bit louder, with a big appetite, and poor financial judgment. And then we've got a void of course, beginning and it continues into early Saturday morning. So that's a long void of course. Means Friday is not a day to start new projects. Good time for reflection and meditation. And then in the evening, Mercury enters Libra, where it will be until October the 9th. Mercury does pretty well in Libra, another air sign. Mercury rules Gemini. So the key word here is diplomatic, always looking to balance things, interested in beauty and harmony, intellectual, not crass or undignified, very refined and artistic. Prefer to avoid conflict, but can be rather principled because this sign is so concerned with reason and the principle of fairness and balance and how those things transcend personal ego. Looking at things from the opposite direction of Aries, which is the opposite sign, so it's kind of the opposite direction of the ego. As well, Mercury in Libra is very persuasive, able to convince others with charm and diplomacy. As well, can be superficial, but maybe not so much with the squares to Capricorn we're going to be getting. Starting with this Sunday, Mercury square Capricorn, Saturn. Okay, moving along to Saturday. That long void, of course, ends early in the morning when the moon enters Pisces. More space around us helps passive and receptive and not feel weak and vulnerable. Some way to accomplish that. And we do this by tuning into the good things that Pisces brings us. Our connection to the spirit world, the intangible, non-physical aspects of life, and seeing the value that they can bring into your life, and changing your focus from the material to the non-material world. Suddenly you don't feel vulnerable anymore. Instead, you feel like you have a whole new set of tools added to your toolbox in life. So that's just something I've learned about dealing with the moon in Pisces, is really focusing on the non-physical aspects of life and seeing the value they can bring. And the best way to do that, I have found, is meditation. And then later in the morning on Saturday, the moon is once again connected to the Saturn trine Uranus aspect, this time making a sextile to both, starting with the moon sextile Uranus. Pisces to Taurus is kind of passive in these signs, not the typical ambitious Uranus aspect, very enlightening, able to rise above your inhibitions, rather idealistic. It also brings up a lot of psychic ability. We're more sensitive to touch and to sound vibrations in the environment. Excellent time for meditation. Also a massage in these signs, Taurus to Pisces, the sensual energy of Taurus and the receptive energy of Pisces makes it the best time for a massage. As well, the earth energy of Taurus combined with the non-material quality of Pisces makes it excellent for working with crystals or rock medicine. And then add to that the moon sextile Saturn, so we're getting the sextile from the other end now, from Capricorn. It ties into the moon, to the Saturn trine Uranus, and really brings us into the present moment. So we can really focus on what we're doing and it has a much stronger effect on all of the mental activities we're engaged in at that time. We're able to focus on what is right in front of you and to put aside distractions. And once again, I think it adds to the previous aspect. They're going to kind of overlap. They're pretty close. So generally speaking, it would be a really good time to meditate and work with crystals and that kind of stuff. It's perfect timing, really, on Saturday morning, late in the morning after you get up. So I wanted to bring that one to your attention as well. A little opportunity there. As well, this moon trine Saturn, sextile Saturn, brings up ability for therapy and that kind of thing, reflection, and thinking about what's important in life. So just putting it all together, it just seemed like a wonderful set of aspects for a Saturday morning. Okay, gone into that enough. And then in the evening, happy birthday Libras. The sun enters Libra on Saturday evening. So Libra rules the not self, the opposite of Aries. And the sun is in its detriment in Libra, actually, which is kind of a drag for all of us Libras, which I'm one of them. But the creative energy of the sun in Libra needs the attention and cooperation of another person in order to help it develop fully. Okay, it really requires a partner. And that is kind of why the sun is in its detriment in Libra. It's dependent on another, and the self-will that comes with the sun doesn't quite work out too well, in that you're always in need of a partner for your creative endeavors. So, other than that, they're very pleasant and harmonious, enjoy balance, and very diplomatic. And now we've got Sun and Mercury in Libra, so that should make it even stronger. And we've got the Moon trine Venus on Saturday evening, a wonderful party aspect. Brings pleasant disposition, able to share your feelings and emotions. Excellent time for all social endeavors. Although that Mercury square Saturn is happening early on Sunday morning, and that one's going to be kind of an interesting one, because we've got two Mercury aspects happening on Sunday. The first, Mercury square Saturn early in the day, and that will be stronger in the first half of the day. And then the second half of the day, it's going to be the Mercury trine Mars. So in the morning, the Mercury square Saturn, and that will be 2 degrees of Libra to 2 degrees of Capricorn. With this one, we're very focused as we experience a crisis to gain more information, as if it were necessary for your very survival. So that's the general gist of it. Mercury is information, and Saturn is survival, and this crisis, it's like, okay, I need to get some information here. We're very determined, able to work hard, very practical, mundane, but it does bring up some insecurities, existing issues where you find it hard to communicate, especially with your partner, about important issues. That stuff is a little bit harder today. Existing Mercury problems. Just like the sextile to Jupiter last Sunday brought out the generally positive qualities of Mercury in you. This one will bring out your inhibitions, if you have any, about Mercury issues. And it makes it hard to think outside of the box and see other options, like all Saturn squares do. They tend to remind us of our limitations, and that can lead to depression. As usual, the best bet is to live in the present moment and not worry about the future, and beware of judgmental attitudes. Could be a challenge for relationships because it's in Libra. We seem more limiting today than usual. Issues may come up related to how much time you have with your partner versus how much time you spend on your career. That's the square from Libra to Capricorn. As well, secrets tend to be revealed on those aspects. And it's kind of interesting to note that this is the aspect that is so notable in Hillary Clinton's chart, the same aspect which reflects her politics. And actually, it's very conservative, so I'm kind of surprised she's been a Democrat all these years, because this is a very conservative aspect. But I'll talk more about her at the end of the video. And we have more to consider on Sunday as well. Also in the morning, quite a contrast to the Mercury aspect is going to be this Moon conjunct Neptune in Pisces. This one has us feeling very sensitive, compassionate, and vulnerable, as Pisces always does, and gives us that desire to escape. But we also feel a real cosmic connection to everyone, because Neptune is like the ocean, and we can feel everything and everyone around us. So it can be very compassionate and heartwarming. And then later in the early evening, we've got the Moon sextile Pluto. Deep emotions bring up a strong desire or a strong commitment needed to be expressed as a service or a dedication to others. Once again, it's that sextile from Pisces to Capricorn. We're transcending self in the fourth quadrant, so we really want to help others. And in this case, we feel this kind of profound commitment within ourselves, and it needs to be expressed in, as a dedication to others. And as usual with the Moon sextile Pluto, can bring a disruption, but usually for the better. And I should note that with the Mercury making two aspects today, one a square to Saturn, the other a trine to Mars, that means we've got a Mars semi-sextile Saturn. It's a 30-degree aspect. And a semi-sextile is an aspect where the boundary between the two planets kind of dissolves and they become one. And I think it makes it much stronger with the Mercury aspects coming in to attend to that. Anyway, the Mars-Saturn connection is very good for starting new projects, doing things that are meant to last, buying things that are meant to last a long time, or just building something meant to last a long time. We're very focused and productive and make good use of the Mars energy, where it comes out in a slow, kind of sustained manner. And that's kind of something else we can look forward to on Sunday. And then there's going to be the Mercury trine Mars in the evening. And this one will be 3 degrees of Libra to 3 degrees of Aquarius. Lots of air. Mars gives life and inspiration to all that air. I mean, you got Libra, an air sign, Aquarius, an air sign. Mercury rules Gemini, an air sign. So Mars just gives lots of life and inspiration to air. Makes you want to fly. I would say it's probably a good aspect for a pilot in the natal chart. With this one, I would suggest you need to be outside, getting lots of fresh air to express this aspect fully. Lots of intellectual energy, lots of talking, writing, doing things with your hands, a desire to display your skills using your hands. If you have some particular skill with your hands, you'll probably want to show it off today. A good time to work on any projects that you've got going on in your life. You'll probably make a lot of progress with them. And it's an excellent aspect for musical performers. Very good dexterity and use of the fingers. Lots of agility, ability to change directions with ease. All of that stuff you need to play an instrument. In Aquarius, lots of discussion about social matters, social reform, political debate and discussions, desire to get involved in the community. So that's a really energetic aspect for a Sunday evening. should get us out of our seats and get us moving. Get the mouth moving, that's for sure. And then late in the evening, the always wonderful moon trine Jupiter. In water signs, very open-hearted, pleasant disposition, compassionate, able to overcome psychological issues and be at ease with yourself and others, resolve problems, resolve things, resolve issues, because it's that trine from Scorpio to Pisces. A great aspect for all social occasions. There's lots of healing energies, and once again, another great time for meditation with the moon in Pisces. Well, that's all for the aspects this week. Okay, moving on to Hillary Clinton. And the first thing I want to say is, check out this link. Clearly, that is not her at McCain's funeral. Note the smile, the angularity of the nose. Yet another body double. One of several links I'll be leaving. Now, the big story this past week was the FISA documents. And I've got a couple of links I'm going to be leaving in the description for those. And I really encourage you to follow up on that if you haven't heard about it yet. Please read up on it, as it will go down as one of the biggest scandals in U.S. political history. The 20 FISA documents or so, once released, will show that it was the Obama administration acting on behalf of Hillary Clinton who infiltrated the Trump campaign, not the Russians. It was Obama and Hillary after all. And the immediate result of the release of these FISA documents will be that Rod Rosenstein is fired and will face charges along with many others. People like McCabe and Comey, a whole host of others, maybe even Mueller, and Obama and Clinton. You know, Trump even mentioned the word treason in one of his recent tweets, and this is what he was talking about, the information contained in these FISA documents. It's going to go down, probably going to call it FISA-gate. Okay, so here we are looking at Hillary Clinton's chart, and last week, at the Venus opposition Uranus, you'll see here 2 degrees of Scorpio to 2 degrees of Taurus, was right on top of her sun at 2 degrees of Scorpio. That's really, that's incredible synchronicity. First of all, this Venus opposition Uranus completes the T-square with Venus, Mars, and Uranus. And it brings Hillary into the picture all at the same time. Wow, what a coincidence. The synchronicity is just amazing. So many times we see major aspects manifesting in people who are having concurrent transits. And this is just another perfect example of this. We are all experiencing this T-square via what it does to her. And basically, it's been no disappointment. As I've said, it's produced the results that I've been talking about for a while now on this channel. Soon the indictments are going to be unsealed. Already there's a huge number of powerful people, corporate CEOs that are resigning, and Trump has been busily repairing the court system, filling in all kinds of vacancies to handle all of these cases in a just and timely manner. No more cover-ups. And the best part of all this is that the pedophile networks all over the globe are being dismantled. I mean, there's just so many different branches to this, so many different rabbit holes it goes down. At this point, there's only a few countries remaining where they can harvest the kids for their sex trafficking networks. And for the spiritually minded amongst us, consider that these revelations in bringing down Hillary, it's not just about politics, Democrats versus Republicans. It's about something much greater than that. It's about repairing the moral fabric of our society, becoming aware of who is really running the show, the powers that be but shouldn't be. And this all ties into your spiritual awakening as well. And we get all of this synchronicity with not only your chart, but everyone else's. And that's how we see these things unfolding in all of us. But there's lots more to come for her this month. You'll notice the position of Jupiter on the 12th of September was at 18 degrees of Scorpio. And it's already been making lots of transits that have brought a lot of attention to her lately. The Jupiter squaring Mars and Pluto, as well as conjuncting these planets in Scorpio. It's just been, a lot more about her has been getting bigger and more broadcast. It happens every 12 years for her, and regular Jupiter cycle. And as we consider the effects of Jupiter transits at this time, at this cycle, maybe we should consider some of the other elements of Jupiter we don't talk about too much. Jupiter rules cosmic forces, our connection to the cosmos. As well, it also governs judicial actions. And also on a macro level, Jupiter and Sagittarius is concerned with conventional wisdom. Jupiter is wisdom. And on a macro level, you could say it's conventional wisdom. All of the stuff that everyone in the group thinks is right or is wise. But that's been changing, okay? We have new perspectives that are being brought into the group. And conventional wisdom is no longer what it used to be. And there's basically been a paradigm shift in conventional wisdom, or Sagittarius, ever since Trump took office. So I would say a new conventional wisdom is in place. And along with that, we've got a new judicial structure, or at least a upgraded, revised, improved judicial structure to go along with it. So for Hillary, this passage of Jupiter in Scorpio, squaring all of her planets in the 9th house, which is ruled by Jupiter, and conjuncting all of her planets in Scorpio, it's been quite a bit different experience than previous passes. It's created a crisis for her unlike she's had before, because conventional wisdom that she exists in, the pool of that, has changed. Okay, so this time, serious judgment could happen. Professional alliances. Jupiter and Sagittarius, they rule professional organizations. So when you've got Jupiter squaring the 9th house, professional alliances are severed. She gets kind of thrown out of the group. Much like McCain did with Uranus squaring a planet in Aquarius. It's that same kind of energy. And if we look at this on a macro level, we could say that her downfall is, in a way, part of removing the old conventional wisdom that Trump has been clearing out. And this is a task that Jupiter must complete before the start of the new cycle, when Jupiter enters Sagittarius, and it's going to conjunct her Jupiter again. But what I've done is drawn up a chart, or taken a look at, I should say, her transits over the next month. And as Jupiter completes its passage through Scorpio, on the 26th of this month, she's going to get Jupiter square Saturn and Jupiter conjunct Mercury on the same day. And this brings her Mercury square Saturn, that same aspect we're having this weekend, by the way, or this coming weekend. It's going to bring this natal Mercury square Saturn to the forefront. It's already such an important part of her personality because it's so close to the ascendant. It's just really what she is renowned for. Her mental rigidity and working so hard and just, fighting until the end. And it's just what she is renowned for. And now Jupiter comes in to make transits to that natal aspect. And Jupiter does what it does to all things. It makes them seem bigger than they really are. It blows them up. Oh, look how big it is. And it puts her in the news, broadcasting the news. So shortly after that, she's going to be getting the Jupiter conjunct ascendant, conjunct the south node, and there's going to be a Jupiter quincunx Uranus thrown in there. So that's a lot of Jupiter transits that she's still to get this month. Is going to highlight her old ways and bring some of the things she's done in the past to the forefront. And remember, the nodes are karmic in nature, so we could be seeing some karma delivered here. And the Jupiter quincunx Uranus is going to be extraordinarily ambitious for her and maybe make her do something kind of foolish in the midst of all of this. And the culmination comes at her Jupiter return, and that'll be in early November. Overall, it's a volatile mix that will bring all of her Jupiter-related activities, which includes all of the stuff in her ninth house, this stellium here, Mars, Pluto, and Saturn. That's also ruled by Jupiter. All of that stuff comes to a forefront. And this time around, of course, these Jupiter transits, they happen every 12 years. And like I was saying earlier, it's like she should have been thrown out of the organization 12 years ago, or every 12 years it comes up for review. She should have been thrown out for her conduct, but because the professional organization she was in was just as corrupt as her, no change was made. But now there's, like I said, a paradigm shift, and because of that, now this time the Jupiter transits have the effect we might think they would be to kind of kick her out of the club. And this time Jupiter will let us perceive things that she has done in the dark, all of this Scorpio stuff that needs to come up. And one other interesting tidbit of information is I noticed that on the 22nd, just as we're coming up to this stuff on the 26th, the aspect Mars conjunct the South Node is going to be at 2 degrees 45 minutes of Aquarius. And that aspect is going to make transits square to her natal sun at 2 degrees of Scorpio. That same sun that was recently caught up in the Venus opposition Uranus, that same sun that is going through all of that sudden change from the Uranus opposition sun, that's the same one that's going to get squared by this Mars conjunct the South Node. And Mars conjunct the South Node equals egotistical positions you've made in the past come back to haunt you. So, yet again, we've got the South Node involved in what's going on now. All things considered, it looks to me like she can't get out of it this time. Her cup hath runneth over. And somebody else who I think is also in the firing line is Rod Rosenstein. Because during the time of the revelations regarding the FISA documents, which really, he's the one who was in charge of all of that, he was getting Jupiter, opposition Jupiter, you'll see here at 16 degrees Taurus, and Jupiter conjunct Neptune here at 19 degrees of Scorpio. So as all of these revelations are coming out about FISA, these are the transits he's getting. Jupiter, again, exposing things, bringing things to light, things that are done in the dark, and highlighting the issues he has natally with his Jupiter opposition Neptune. I could go into that, but basically he gives himself a lot of license to do what he thinks is right. In this case, legally, with Jupiter. So, and the deception that Neptune sometimes brings, capable of using deception to get legal means, that kind of thing. So Jupiter comes in and highlights all of that. But what's really interesting is on September the 26th, which is the same day that Hillary is getting those other two transits, the big ones, Jupiter square Saturn and Jupiter conjunct Mercury. Same day as that, he's getting Neptune opposition Uranus. Look at that, transiting Neptune at 14 degrees 34 minutes of Pisces, opposition Uranus at 14 degrees 34 minutes of Virgo. Wow, that's a big one. Outer planet transits. And this is going to weaken him quite a bit, make him vulnerable, and bring the deceptions he has done to the surface. And it could lead to his arrest. So he's definitely having the kind of transits that could lead to a major downfall in the midst of all of this. So that's pretty important. So next week's going to be significant for both Hillary and Rosenstein, or Stein, I forget how it's pronounced. So just wanted to include those transits. And moving on, we recently had elections, or they had, I should say, had elections in Germany and Sweden. And in both cases, they showed a considerable increase in popularity and power for the political parties that are against the current immigration policy, which is, of course, what's causing all the problems there. And it's all about Pluto. If you look at all of the transits, it's all about Pluto. Pluto going direct. Look at, here's the EU, and you'll see here Pluto currently at 1849. It's basically going to go stationary direct right on top of their Uranus. So that's pretty significant. And if you go to the chart for Germany, where they had one of the elections, you'll see it's Pluto conjunct Saturn. And if you go to the chart for Sweden, you'll see it's Pluto trining Mars. Once again, very exact. And all of these transits, for all three of them, are going to be basically exact right at the point that Pluto goes stationary direct. So I thought that was pretty significant. And so now we are seeing, well, what we are seeing is the constructive reform that Pluto can bring, especially since it's coupled with this Jupiter sextile, which played into the picture very well. You'll see here, back to the chart of the EU, Jupiter conjuncting the Mercury, very nice, and sextiling their Uranus. So that really helped to do something positive and progressive and kind of stretch in new ways that they haven't before. Some innovative solutions. So in the EU, as Jupiter goes through the rest of their fourth house here, it's going to bring more constructive changes at home, kind of revive the EU culture, especially at the conjunction to Mars and Pluto and the opposition to the Moon. And the issue of foreigners, ruled by Jupiter, at home, the fourth house, is going to be revised, renewed, or revisited. Jupiter is exalted in the fourth house. It brings with it a strong love of home and family and culture on a mass scale. So we should see some progress by way of more guarantees to preserve the native European culture, because it's really being overrun by the immigrants. So that was kind of an interesting development politically this week as well. So leave me some comments. Been getting a lot more lately, and I really enjoy the back and forth discussing comments with people. So that's all for this week for Weekly Astrology Notes. You can check out my website, tomsocalm.com. I want to thank you to my subscribers and supporters. I am accepting donations. You'll find donation buttons for Patreon and PayPal in the lower right-hand corner of the flower image on my channel homepage. You can follow me on Twitter, TomJordan364. And if you're interested in an astrology reading, please contact me. I'm available for consultations on a regular monthly basis as well. Love to use astrology as a tool for life coaching. In addition, I'm a Reiki master. If you're interested in a long-distance Reiki healing or a psychic reading, you can contact me at mobilestar7@yahoo.com or on my weblog, where I post the transcript of these weekly videos. Links will be in the description. Well, that's all this week for Weekly Astrology Notes. Once again, thanks for viewing, liking, and sharing my video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Many blessings, and have a great day.